Becoming a surgeon today is a grueling gauntlet of achievement. This is a journey requiring dedication, brilliance, and the GDP of South Sudan in student loans. The Victorian period, however, had slightly different standards for their surgeons, and by different standards, I mean the main prerequisites to being a surgeon back then were a meat saw, and what modern psychiatrists would call warning signs of psychopathy. Ah, the wonderful time before anesthesia, antibiotics, and the existence of germ theory. Germ theory, I hear you ask. What's that? That's the theory that germs exist. Yeah, these dudes straight up did not know about germs. They'd cut some guy's brain open and then walk straight over with that same scalpel, unwashed mind you, to perform invasive surgery on your fricking eyeball. In this world of surgical chaos, one man reigned supreme, Robert Liston. The first thing you need to know about our protagonist is that his catchphrase was literally, "Time me, gentlemen." This absolute legend reigned as a king among peasants in an era where the skill of a surgeon was determined by the extent to which his frock coat was soaked in the blood of his victims, and the only fluid more common in an operating room than blood was the pus pouring out of their infected wounds. Known as the fastest knife in the West End of Edinburgh, this man could amputate a leg in like 30 seconds. Though that seems rather horrifying to those of us coddled by the wonders of modern medicine, in a world without anesthetic, this actually was a very useful skill. Because as one of Liston's patients put it, having your leg violently removed by a madman with a jigsaw is a relatively unpleasant experience, so a shortening of the whole ordeal was generally appreciated. Such was Liston's speed that accidents were inevitable. During leg amputations, he was known to have also, in his fervor and bloodlust, occasionally amputated the odd testicle, which he probably kept in a jar on his desk as fun little souvenirs. He was known for working so swiftly that to save time putting his knife down, he'd just hold it with his teeth. Which is nice, because not only did it mean he was ingesting the blood of his plague-ridden patients, he was also passively applying a spit and tobacco salve on the next slice, which I'm certain helped the whole, "Oh God help us, everybody is dying of gangrene" saga they were going through, on account of not knowing about germs. A few decades into his career, Robert had become the Michael Jordan of amputation speedrunning. Every all-time great has their crowning achievement, the day that cements their place in history. For Robbie, one day in particular was to be his magnum opus. He was performing an amputation just like any other day, but this one took him 2.5 minutes instead of the usual 30 seconds, which according to my wife is something I should be very proud of. This amputation led to some complications, what with the surgical knife being home to the bodily fluids of a handful of people and all, and the patient died of gangrene soon after. Not only was his draw with the knife slower than usual today, but his accuracy was all over the place. He got a little rowdy swinging his knife to and fro, and on the way back from a particularly exuberant oscillation, cut off all the fingers of his assistant, who then also died of gangrene. Then he slashed through the coat of a spectator. What kind of sick fuck spectates a raw dog leg amputation? Frightening him so terribly that he fainted from fright, and then died, apparently of shock. By utilizing his own creative spin on team-building techniques and successfully turning an amputation into a group activity, Liston achieved history's first surgical triple kill, securing his place in gaming history. Despite his penchant for collateral nutsack-related damage and the occasional mass murder event, our old boy Bobby was actually a pretty venerated surgeon, and was extremely skilled for the time. It says a lot about his peers when their best surgeon's operating room could make a gas station bathroom feel like the Ritz-Carlton. His fatality rate was something like 1 out of 10, in a time where the average surgeon was offing 25% of their patients. People were lining up out of the door to have Robert free them of the inconvenience of having limbs. Word has it he was kind of a dick to the other surgeons too, probably because they had never achieved the coveted triple kill and were therefore below him in status. But it said he was unfailingly charitable to the poor and tender to the sick for whom he cared. If you ask me, that testimony doesn't really match with literally any of what has been going on for the past 4.5 minutes, but okay. He later attempted to undergo a bit of a redemption arc by performing the first public operation with modern anesthesia, inspiring several of his students to further the technique, including the use of chloroform, which solved the patient screaming problem, but created the patients shitting out their livers problem. Well, you can't win them all with doctors who still think the 3 foundational elements of the human body are skin, eyes, and goo.